Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is the Boom Ball on your Boom Radio NG. It is a lovely Monday afternoon in the city of Lagos State, Nigeria. And it is time for Boom Bar. It is time for plenty gist and drinks basically. So we're going to be having 1 hour of gist. At this point it's actually everything: music, entertainment, a lot of politics, and everything else in between. My name is Oladelupa, the one and only. And you know what? I do this a lot for people that you're just joining us for the very first time. You're listening or watching us on YouTube or Facebook. I need to reintroduce myself to you so that you will know. Okay, now you know. And then there he is with me in the studio.
My name is Shola Rogers. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's been 2 days without you guys at the bar. There was no bar, so there was no drinks, no free drinks, nothing. But there's a whole lot of stuff that happened in those 2 days. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Happy Father's Day.
It was Father's Day.
The ones that have sense,
It was Father's Day yesterday. And of course, on Saturday, the Ekiti gubernatorial elections took place.
Yeah, very interesting. And we probably got like one of the fastest results in an election. It was pretty fast. It was, I think it was actually less than 24 hours after the elections actually started that the results popped up. There's a lot of things to unpack about that. Remember the Burna Boy issue, which we had discussed here about 2 people getting shot by policemen and all that. The main lady that was involved has finally come out to say her piece. There's also a report from the owner of the club, and the person of Obi Cubana too has had something to say. So we're definitely going to talk about that. We're definitely talking a lot of politics. Also, there is news about voter registration. A particular group had sued INEC, and looks like there's a court injunction. There's an ongoing case on that as well, but we're definitely going to be talking about that. Over the weekend, there was also talks about some parties merging into another party. We're going to look at the legal angle of those things, because a lot of times the legal angle of that. Also, the issue of placeholders looks like is a thing now. In Nigerian politics, it seems to be a thing. And INEC also has something to say about it, because we know that they basically have the final say, okay, except courts though. They basically have final say in a lot of things. So we're definitely going to be talking about that and a few other things. People decamping, somebody's still going to court refusing to step down for Senate president. We'll be here as the drama unfolds. But, let's begin. It's going to be a very interesting 1 hour. And in the next about 56 minutes, I think we should be able to talk about, if we don't touch about everything, we should talk on a few things. So I think we should start from something that started on Saturday, and the Ekiti gubernatorial elections. Now, before we get to the elections, I'm going to do a little bit of rewinding to Friday. And what I'm actually going to talk about was on Friday, a duly signed letter from one of the gubernatorial candidates, Shagoni himself, had been circulated about him stepping down. And I remember that I think it was on Friday, I didn't even understand very well. And you were talking about how the party where he had decamped from. For people that do not know, he contested the elections on under the platform of the PDP contested primaries and he lost, and then he moved to SDP. I know that you were talking about, you had explained to me about how there were some irregularities with the party with INEC. So it was like the major reason for him to step down. He had stepped down, and that letter already talked about him asking his electorate to vote for the PDP candidate. And that was on Friday. I know we had a conversation, maybe not on Boomba, about how it was a little too late, that that kind of news might not get to his supporters early enough. Yeah? Which we talked about it, and then we moved on. Saturday came, and the election started pretty early. Registration started very early, as early in some places, as early as 8:30 a.m. We saw pictures of how very old people, it's said that about the oldest person in Ekiti State actually came out to vote. We saw about another 95-year-old woman coming to vote. I saw pictures of a few physically challenged people actually coming out to vote. But in all that, about just a one third of that number, and that's where before we even go into the politics angle, there were almost a million registered voters in Ekiti State, and just about 360,000 of that number voted. Meaning that two things I'm going to take from that. First things first is that only 1/3 of the registered voters, not the number of people in Ekiti State now, only 1/3 of the registered voters, which we don't even know that registered voters, the percentage of that is the number of residents that can vote in Ekiti State. That's another story entirely. But with the number of registered voters, that's just a 1/3. And what does that mean? 1/3 of the entire registered voters determined who the next governor of Ekiti State would be. Now, if we juxtapose that number with Anambra State elections, which was way earlier this year, I would say that it's an improvement. We were here, we talked about it. For people that don't know, you can go back to YouTube. We talked about the Anambra elections, and we actually checked numbers from INEC and about how less than 10% of registered voters voted in Governor Soludo. And we always say that this is what the implication is. It means that maybe if the remaining 90% or even 60 or 50 or even 40% of that other number had voted for somebody else, Governor Soludo will not be governor today. But it is what we had that we had to deal with. Same thing goes with Ekiti. It means that it's only 1/3 of the number, not even up to half. Which, you know, when you have half, you can say, okay, that one is very dicey. But there were over 600,000 voters that did not vote. So it could have gone anybody's way. But INEC would only count people that actually come out to vote. And that's the sad part. On the one side, it is an improvement from where we're coming from Anambra State. But it's not still good enough. And then also, it's the first elections that is going to be conducted under the new electoral law. So there are a few things to talk about on that note before we move on to the election part. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. So now the election part. Remember, for people that are following, remember that we had said that Segun had withdrawn from the elections 24 hours before. We saw pictures of him voting, which, because you withdraw from an election does not mean that you shouldn't vote, which I think it was actually okay, yeah? Elections came out, and the electioneering in itself, I think, ended around 2:30 p.m. I know that the the returning officer of the election had talked about how they were going to, it was going to be one of the fastest, that in fact they wanted by midnight, they had wanted to announce the results, but they announced it about 3 a.m. the next morning. And according to INEC, Mr. Biodun Oyebanji had 187,057 votes. Shegoni of SDP, that has stepped down, had 82,211. And Bisi Kolawole of the PDP had 67,457. Now, so interesting result. How someone that had stepped down before even got more votes than the PDP person that they are told, which I think that was actually my own fear as well. Like, okay, what's happening?
Yeah, we saw the letter written and signed by Shegoni of the SDP, stating that he had stepped down.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel he could have written that letter without making a particular statement. There was a statement there asking and urging all his supporters to vote for the PDP candidate.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying that is not because he shouldn't support someone, but constitutionally, you're not supposed to campaign 24 hours before an election.
Okay. True.
So,
Very true.
if you've done that, you might just be in contravention of the Electoral Act. Because that was a campaign. That was you saying...
Very true.
Look,
very
go
true.
and vote for this
About it that
person
way.
and all of that. Because you did write that down. Except he's going to come and deny this again. You understand? So for me, I am worried about that. I'm worried about how crimes are committed and laws are broken, and law enforcement and the agencies that are, the supervisory agencies for these different things don't do anything about it. They end up just glossing over it or doing absolutely nothing. There are laws in Nigeria. Oh, you're not supposed to do this or do that. If you do this, it's 14 years. If you do that, it's... But you look around you
and those things happen and nothing is happening.
And nothing is happening. I'm not mentioning anybody's name or anything. I'm just saying this and that. That's what I said. But there are laws. There are laws that should be respected. And that's my view. So again, if someone comes out and is written a letter stepping down from an election and asking people, that's a campaign. If that's not a campaign, then tell me what a campaign is. And it's against the laws of the land. The downer for me, apart from this aspect of Shegoni's letter, the downer for me is actually the spread of fake news being a standard. And if you try to clarify things, you're biased, you're on the take, you have been paid. Videos have emerged. Like for instance, there's someone who was interviewed. Someone who is clearly aggrieved, who's clearly biased, who's clearly a member of an opposition party, alleging that one party was inducing voters. He has a reason to do what he did. It's not the right person for you to interview. You need to seek neutral people who do not have any baggage whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I saw this guy's video go viral. A lot of people talking about some youth leader somewhere. But if you go check, the guy actually has a long history. And that's why they refer to him as former youth leader, not even youth leader of the community, a youth leader in the community. But he has a strong bias. Then, another video made the rounds. People who were showing, it's actually an old video, some young ladies who had their PVC and money with.
Yeah.
But having said that, because we're at the point where we almost must speak the truth, there is evidence or there are talks of vote buying.
Oh yeah.
You will see videos and
There's
pictures.
video that
of the
EFCC had
actually
arrested a few people.
Arrested a few people. Now, funny thing is, one of the stories I saw was people in the opposition that were arrested. You know, so you hear about that. That doesn't mean that the ruling party is not involved. You know, but I want our elections to grow to a point where you don't have to induce people or feel the need to induce them.
Yeah, I remember that this same elections, there was a video that popped up, I think that Saturday morning, where people in the polling unit were talking about how they're not going to take money from anybody. They're going to vote who they want to vote for. And I think that that's the mentality everybody should have from now on. Like, we know that you're voting is because you want to vote for this person for whatever reason. That's the weird part, yeah? Everybody has their reason. That's another angle about how people feel that if you're not voting for this person, then there's a problem with you or you don't like something. But anybody can vote for whoever they want to at any point in time.
That's democracy now. It's government by the people, for the people, you know.
Yeah.
Government of the people, by the people,
by the people and for the people.
You know, and you know, as an aside, a popular Nigerian artist, Peruzzi, tweeted yesterday, and it was,
yeah, I think I saw that tweet,
urging people to go and get their PVC and vote for whoever they want
to vote for. That's where it should be. That's how it really should be.
And you need to see the level of comments on that tweet condemning him, saying he's not supposed to say that. He's supposed to tell them who to vote for, and that's how we got here as a nation. And that's
okay. So people can't have choices anymore.
Apparently not. You know. So I remember a few years ago when an older friend of mine said, we have become the people our parents warned us about.
Yeah, you know.
I put it out there, and I put his name there, Ladi Shole. He said that. And you look back and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, really.
At times you're like,
it's very interesting, yeah. And you know, I was still talking about Ekiti State elections, and something very interesting that still happened. As of this morning, the SDP governorship candidate, Sheguni, who had earlier stepped down, through the party agent, and has come out to say that the polls was riddled with irregularities and voter inducement, and that they were going to court to contest the results. And I'm like, I thought you were not interested in contesting in the election. Why are you contesting the result? Is it that he saw the result and like, oh, wow, this many people voted for me? Because I don't get it. I'm honestly, I don't get it. I honestly felt that looking at the result, even if PDP did not win the elections, I think fielding him would have been better for them.
Okay, but the truth is,
because adding those two would have been a lot more than what they have right now.
Over 10 gubernatorial candidates in Ekiti.
Yeah.
The Labour Party all had a candidate, and some other parties, they all had a candidate. Yes, they did. It's a fact.
Hey, I'm not disputing it.
But if you had all those votes together, including that of the PDP and the SDP, it is still not. There's still a clear,
he will still not have won the elections. I agree.
There's still a clear
according to the according to the results, out of 16 local governments, the person that won 15 out of 16 local governments. PDP actually won one local government there. Now, my issue is that he might not have won, but the margin will be smaller, which I feel that it would have been enough grounds or better grounds to say you want to contest the election results.
Yeah, it's it's like someone like me in Lagos now going to contest the Ekiti election results. What is the locus that I have? What would inform it?
His party was his party's flag bearer.
Exactly. But in his own case, yeah, you can't deny the fact that he's a stakeholder. But legally, he did not contest that election. The sad part is that he failed to communicate to the ruling party on time. Because even if he had won, that would have been the beginning of some legal tussle.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be like, okay, this person didn't even qualify to be on the ballot in the
first place.
And this is a failing on the part of INEC. I have given them a lot of kudos in the last 24 hours. I still did on political voyage. But the truth is, you're not supposed to be at every primaries and verify who won what and also screen them. You know, we can't continue to have all this.
Because it's not, I get what you're saying. It's not just about screening the candidate, screening the party. What's the status of the party?
So you should know.
It's at that point they should say, because it shouldn't be only parties screening their candidates. It should be you screening the party as well. What exactly is the issue? What are we dealing with?
So for me though, I always say to people, test the laws. So let him go to court. Maybe you would get some kind of landmark judgment that would also help with the way the country is structured. Or it might just be told to, to look away, that his case lacks merit.
Mm-hmm.
However way it is, I support the fact that he's gone to court.
Okay, we'll see how that court issue goes on. Very interesting times where ahead. We know that elections were all really in election time, because next month as well is the Osun State gubernatorial elections as well. So we want to see the drama that's happening. And at times I'm like, wow, it's almost like we feed on this court issue. I know that yes, people should be allowed to go to court and all that. It's their fundamental right. There's really nothing you can do about it. But at times, how many times do really things come out of it? Which, to be honest with you, we can count a lot of these elections that something came out of it. That's why we have some of these irregular elections anyway. So when we also look at it from that angle, you really can't blame people when they want to fight for their mandate or supposed mandate, if we put it like that. Okay, still talking about elections. The Independent National
Sorry, yeah, I'm really sorry.
Okay, please go ahead.
One of the major things about this election that I must give kudos to INEC for is the real-time posting of results. You mentioned a landmark, something that was worth highlighting, that this was the first election that wasn't conducted based on the new electoral laws. And that led to the fact that if you had gone to the INEC website, in real time, elections were being posted. It's the first time ever in the history of Nigeria that you go to an authentic website and you're getting the results in real time. And for me, that is a big deal.
I think it's a very big deal. There's still a lot of stories that has to do with INEC. There's the stuff that we're going to talk about with INEC, people decamping. But very interesting news that just popped up now. And this is talking about the Anambra State governor has come to debunk a story that has been going around through his verified Facebook page.
Yeah.
So there is a statement that has been going around
$20 million.
that Mr. Peter Obi's $20 million investment in Anambra worth $100 million today. And everybody has been attributing this statement to the governor of Anambra State, Charles Chukwuma Soludo. Now, according to him, verified, as I'm looking at it, it says that, where did you read or hear me make such false statement? This fake news has been roundly debunked by my team. We can always carry on with campaigning for our preferred candidates without consciously misleading the reading public. This report is false and never emanated from me. Thank you.
I remember a few weeks ago on Twitter when I debunked this by quoting a statement from the media team of Professor Soludo, the governor of Anambra. I had a lot of supporters of Peter Obi come at me. I stood my ground and I was posting out facts, and they started asking me questions like we were in school, and I started responding to them. And this is a trend that I have noticed. You're so eager to support your principle that you have to cook up statistics and facts.
And I think that I get it. That a lot of people have been coming. I think that it was the right thing for the governor himself to actually come out like, okay, stop this.
So when this story broke again on Friday, I just got tired. I'm like, this man had said it wasn't true. Then again, if he had made this statement, there will be a video or there will be a press statement. Yeah. There's nothing like that. I searched and I just left it. I'm glad that he has come out to say this.
He definitely.
Of course, they're going to come for him because it's a mob out there now. If you're not supporting a particular candidate and you're on social media, your life.
Then there's a problem. Okay, so let's go to INEC because there are a few things to unpack for people that don't know. That's the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about with INEC is that there's a court injunction today. Before we get to that point, we're going to be talking about something that happened since last week, and it is the issue of presidential candidates putting what is called placeholders. According to reports from last week, the PDP is the only one that officially has, or would I say,
can't be the
one?
PDP
I don't
alone.
say the PDP alone. Yeah. One of the major parties one of the few parties that has officially a running mate for its presidential candidate. We know the APC has a placeholder in quote. The Labour Party also has a placeholder in quote. We also do not know the running mate of NNPP. So I'm guessing they too have some form of a placeholder. Or I remember seeing a report where a party person from NNPP talked about how they submitted their form with a vice presidential candidate and not a placeholder. So it's possible they have one already. But now the Independent National Electoral Commission, it has been kind of a topic like, okay, is this right? Is this not right? Is this legal? What does the electoral law say about these things? And I'm sure, we know all these things, that the electoral law is the benchmark for everybody. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission has come out to say that through the National Commissioner of Information and Voter Education, when he had an interview with Arise TV today, and said that according to electoral law, running mates can only be substituted if they write to INEC attaching an affidavit. Now, it says, and I quote, the law says that a presidential candidate, you must nominate an associate to run with you. As far as the INEC is concerned, presidential candidates have submitted their associates to run with them in the presidential election. As far as we're concerned, there is no form substituted by a presidential candidate where they said they'll be submitting this person's name as a place or space holder, meaning there's nothing like placeholder in the Nigerian law. Yes. Now, it now says that the issue of space or placeholder is a unique Nigerian invention that has no place in our constitutional or legal framework. For there to be a substitution of the candidate, the vice presidential candidate submitted must write to INEC with an affidavit stating that he's withdrawing from the race within the time frame provided by the law. That's the only way there can be substitution of candidates.
Yeah, and the people who have done it know. They know. You see, the beauty of this is that the law is the law, and the law is an animal of burden. They call it an ass. I do not mean it in a derogatory way, so because that's what it is in English, right? They said the law is an ass, right?
Yeah.
So please let nobody misquote me and take as if I'm using this word, because it was English when we were growing up.
Yeah, it was.
The law is an ass, right?
Yeah.
The same law has been studied by people, and there will always be loopholes.
Yeah, that's where I see it too. So people saw that loophole and they decide to use it. It's not a crime.
You find several laws that people will say, oh, this is how this should be done. It's just like maybe you want to transfer money. There's a limit. There's a limit for individuals to transfer money from one account to the other on a daily, right?
Mm-hmm.
But does that apply to an individual who also has a corporate account? It doesn't.
No.
Because maybe he wants to say, maybe the limit for individuals is 1 million naira and the limit for corporate is 5 million. And the guy wants to send 6 million. He will use 1 million from his personal asset. Has he not sent the 6 million?
Yeah.
Has he broken any law?
No.
It's the same thing with the placeholder. So politicians are smart people, and they've looked at the law and they said, this is the only way we can do it, because if you notice, it's about, us trading a lot of it's called the cat and mouse game. It's like Tom and Jerry. We know how those two are supposed to be at loggerheads, but we see them as friends in a way, but they're all the same at the end of the day. So for me, what has happened as a placeholder thing is that, for instance, in Peter Obi's case, Peter Obi is negotiating with the NNPP.
Yeah, that's what I was going to like. We're going to get to that point as well.
He cannot afford to go and pick any vice presidential candidate now. Then it comes to the time for negotiations, and the NNPP agrees to partner with him and agree to be vice to him. And he has already picked someone, and the person says, no,
I'm not.
This is a deal that we struck.
Yeah.
I'm not stepping down for anybody.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And if the guy doesn't step down, Peter Obi will be stuck with whoever.
Yeah.
So what he did was to use his ally, his campaign manager, and his number one man, Doyo Kupe, as a placeholder. In the case of
the APC.
NNPP.
Okay, NNPP.
They put the name of some guy, Johnson or something. He's a Yoruba guy, right? Is the vice presidential candidate for the NNPP. But is one of them. It's not maybe someone who has brought or who is bringing X number of votes that they will now tell, you need to step down because we want to make Peter Obi our vice, and for this reason you have to. And the guy will be like, no, I had a deal. So what they've done is to put someone there they trust, and they've done that. In the place of Bola Tinubu too. Nothing different, the same thing. In fact, the guy he has chosen is a long-time ally. Bola Tinubu has been in the game for a couple of days. So he's picked this guy who is his guy and everything. And the guy understands the game.
I won't even be surprised if, in the cases of a lot of these people, things like the affidavits and things that they need to do has already been signed before even submitting all these things, yeah? And now, I'm talking about something that you had spoken about before, now about how over the weekend also there was this talks about coalition between the Labour Party and the NNPP. And looking back at the electoral law, there is a new electoral law now. Mm-hmm. It's saying that you have to inform INEC for a merger to happen. It has to be about 9 months before the elections. As we speak, elections, according to INEC calendar, is just 8 months' time. So, is there another loophole if there's going to be a merger, or looks like the merger story is dead on arrival?
There will not be a merger if you respect the law and do not want to toil in vain.
You don't want to be disqualified and all that.
If you don't want to waste your money and your time and lead your supporters astray, there will be no merger.
Okay.
There will be none. So, what they can have is a partnership. Again, the law cannot prevent that. A partnership where they both agree amongst themselves. The smartest one is for them to agree on one party.
Okay.
That's the smartest one.
Okay, so my people will vote for your...
They shouldn't make the mistake of saying, for presidential election, vote for Peter Obi on Labour and Kwankwaso as vice. Then for the gubernatorial and senatorial in this state, vote NNPP. In this state, vote Labour. Confusion. That is, you will fail. But what they can do, and it's not too long because all they have to do is just organize another primaries. What they can do
is almost late?
No, it's not too late. What they can do is to have that agreement across board amongst themselves. And basically, if they agree to use Labour as their main party, ask the NNPP to write INEC saying
they are withdrawing.
We're withdrawing, and those people will do it individually. Now the same people will now go to the Labour Party, and a quick primaries will be organized with INEC's consent and endorsement.
Are you sure anybody can conduct any primaries anymore at this point?
I am sure that you can still organize another primaries.
For
I am sure
the gubernatorial and all those.
I am sure.
Okay.
But we'll look into it later. But this is my opinion, and I'm saying it because it's what I know and believe in. That way, the Labour Party or the NNPP will still get the individuals they want, but not necessarily on the platform of the party they want. For instance, it might be Peter Obi crossing to the NNPP, or Rabiu Kwankwaso crossing to the Labour Party. Either way, they will be able to present, on one party platform. If they go into this partnership with these two party alignments that they are trying to align,
it might end up being a disaster.
I think it might have like some kind of negative impact on the results of their polls, because you're going to be confusing.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
A lot of people, and I do not mean this derogatorily. A lot of your supporters are educated. They are lettered people. They are graduates, and they are graduates of the secondary school system or primary school system. They are all graduates, or the university, or even higher. But you see, a large chunk of them are not lettered. And you will end up confusing them if you go ahead with this. For INEC, if you do not officially withdraw, INEC will still print their ballot
according to what.
NNPP on it.
Oh yeah. That's a very interesting thing.
Because you have already submitted it to them, and they're going to use it.
And that's what they will use. They will not
for their coalition to work, and that's just the analysis of the coalition. Now the brass tacks, the real issue is, you hear a lot of Peter Obi supporters saying, "Oh, Peter Obi is going to be the president, and Kwankwaso will be the vice." On the flip side, you hear a lot of Kwankwaso supporters saying, "Oh, Kwankwaso is going to be the president, and Peter will be the vice." And you see, this is my issue again. I said it before, and a lot of people don't like hearing this. They should have started this months ago. How can you wake up one day and say you want to be president of a country? You should have started this work.
I honestly think a lot of people didn't think it through.
So if you had started months ago, you would have ironed out all these gray areas.
All your issues, yeah.
Now you cannot do a merger officially. If you do it, you're just wasting your time. The partnership has to be done in a way that is still within the confines of the law, and that it will help both of them achieve their aim. Sadly, they both want to be president.
That's the thing.
Rabiu Kwankwaso.
Can you blame Rabiu Kwankwaso?
Kwankwaso
he has a party.
A lot of months ago, about 6 or 7 months ago, set up this party,
and it has been getting traction.
What are you saying? In the space of 6 months, He has had people decamp to his party.
State House of Assembly, House of Reps,
Senators.
So you can say he officially has a party, a thriving party.
Peter Obi, on his own part, left the PDP 3 days to the presidential primaries. In fairness to him, he has gained a lot of traction when he joined the Labour Party.
Yeah.
There were 3 other Labour Party presidential aspirants who stepped down for him because they knew he was bringing something to the table. What was he bringing? He was bringing a new set of voters, a new voice, a lot of power, a lot of verve, and youth support. Do you get? So, if you look at it in the context of how he took over the Labour Party, it was because he brought something bigger to them. The Labour Party was more or less like a moribund party before Peter Obi joined.
Okay.
If you don't like it, you don't
Very
like it. Very
true. But the issue now is that...
You know, I'm trying to establish something that it's done that. So if you accept the way he has helped the Labour Party gain prominence, like even on social media, they went from barely a few thousand followers to hundreds of thousands of followers on their social media platforms. They're getting a lot of traction and engagement and everything. If you look at that, and you look at what we said about Kwankwaso, then you now understand what we're saying, that, again, now in this partnership, who is bringing what to the table? Obi took over Labour because Party Tomi and the rest saw that it was bigger than them. Now, in this partnership, in my own assessment, Kwankwaso is bigger than Obi.
Yeah, looking at what the traction that he has been able to get, he has elected members.
They will say go and verify. Peter Obi supporters will say go and verify. I have verified. Kwankwaso has a larger political structure.
Yeah,
he's more prominent when it comes to politics and the supportership that he has, especially the fact that right now in the House of Assembly at state and national level, there are NNPP.
It has members.
Now, if there are other people in the APC or PDP who are House of Assembly members that want to cross to the Labour Party, they should do it now to give Peter Obi a little bit of leverage.
Because at this point,
because if Kwankwaso says, I have one senator, Peter Obi say, I have one senator too. Or I have two.
Exactly.
But if they don't do that now,
it's not.
Kwankwaso will keep saying, look at what I have.
And it is true. It's not about what we perceive, it is what is on ground, and that's a very very interesting part. Yeah, I want to see how this is going to work though, but we definitely will be here. We'll be able to tell you a lot of these things and how the story unfolds. Before we leave the issue of INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission has been ordered by the Federal High Court today not to stop voter registration on 30th. And the main issue is that the court has granted an order of interim injunction following a hearing of an argument of motion ex parte by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP. SERAP and 185 concerned Nigerians had earlier filed the lawsuit against INEC, asking the court to declare the stoppage of the CVR unconstitutional, illegal, and incompatible with international standards. Now, the court they had asked the court to order a restraining order to INEC, his agents, privies, assigns, and any other person, telling them not to discontinue the continuous voter registration exercise that is supposed to end on 30th June 2022. Now, the court has given them an injunction for INEC to stop that for the moment. However, the suit has been adjourned to June 29th for the hearing of the motion, meaning that the voter registration is still ongoing anyway. Up until June 29th, it's still ongoing. So now it's until whatever the court says on June 29th. Because now I don't think this court injunction makes any difference. Because the continuous voters registration is still going on anyway. So up until then we can have a conversation about that. But my issue is that I remember an interview a few months ago that I watched that Mahmoud Yakubu, the chairman of INEC himself, had come out to explain the reasons why there was been stoppages here and there, and about how there's a process of the registration, the validation, the printing of the PVCs and all. We know that as of now, it's only the first set that was done last year that they have PVCs now. The second one that was done, they still don't have PVCs, and people are still registering right now. So he was talking about how INEC needs time to gather all these things to verify before they print permanent voters cards for people. So my question with a lot of people, because I know a lot of people are clamoring for that they should extend this thing. What's the point of extending it when you don't get your cards before the election? Keep in mind, it's this same INEC that is going to conduct elections. So they actually do not have a lot of time. It's not only PVCs that they are dealing with.
There's something that we are guilty of as a people, and we must be honest with ourselves. A lot of people really don't like to hear the truth anymore, but I'm bringing the truth again. I think I'll change my name to the Truth Speaker or something like that.
Yeah.
The registration process started last year.
Yes, it did.
A long time ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is actually, or arguably, the longest voter registration exercise that we've had in Nigeria in recent times.
It is.
I have always advocated, and if you dig up any of our old videos, you'll see it, that it should not be periodic registration. It
should be a continuous thing.
We need INEC to open offices at all the local governments like they have, or make it like the way you want to get your driver's license or your international passport, or even link it to the same office. The office where you get your passport, you're there, you're like, oh, where's your voter's card? You don't have it. You have your NIN, or they capture you for both, and you go. And the thing is printed. The day you pick up your passport, you pick up your voter's card. You know, a kind of system that just makes life easy for everybody. But before we get to that point, we're at a point where the law says they have to do it for this period, and that's what they're doing. Why didn't we react on time? I remember this is, you know, the thing is, this is 2022. And I remember 20 years ago, or even longer than that, whenever voter registration started, and you walk past those INEC people who have been positioned in different parts at the polling units, because where you do your registration is usually your polling unit. Do you know what usually happens? You see them alone from morning to night.
Yeah.
They're just there.
Remember,
by themselves.
Down the road. Remember?
They're just there. Maybe one or two people will walk up to them and they will attend to the person eagerly, and you're done. And for a week or two, there's nothing happening.
There's nothing happening.
Then when they now say the thing is shutting down, hey,
then you see the crowd.
Same thing that we did with the NIN registration.
Yeah.
The thing is, even if you don't like the idea, it is backed by law.
It is what it is.
It's going to affect you.
Exactly.
So can you make it work for yourself by going to register early? No, you did not. So for me, all the people calling for an extension are the unserious Nigerians. Yeah, you don't like it. Yes, it's the truth. You are, because you had the chance to do it earlier. You did not. But now that there's a frenzy, there's a drive. Get your PVC and vote this and vote that. That's now that you want to get it done, Abi. Everybody is hypocrite. Oh. That's what most of you people are. Yes.
Okay, so we're moving away from that. I think we've talked a lot about
We're not done with politics.
Oh yeah, you were.
I'd like to crave your indulgence.
All right.
This was not on our lineup.
Oh yeah.
But
please.
you know how we run it.
Oh yeah, please go ahead.
And I was waiting for this particular presidential candidate to pop up. He's a perpetual presidential candidate.
Oh.
It doesn't miss it.
How come I missed that story?
Don't worry, it's fine. That's why there's two of us. Two heads are better than one. You know? And he has popped up. But he didn't pop up before the window closed. The transfer window has closed. And now we are in the extended transfer window. On his birthday...
So it means that he must have submitted.
He did not. On his 63rd birthday, he did not. So you're about to get angry. I know you when you're about to get angry. and you're bewildered, you're flabbergasted, you're
Okay, finish. Let finish, because I don't understand.
On his 63rd birthday, which happens to be yesterday, he hosted a couple of journalists to a parley, a media parley. And there, this perennial, constantly contesting presidential candidate who keeps telling you that God has chosen him.
Okay.
This time around, has not really mentioned God chosen him, but he says that he is the next president and it's going to be an interim government, and is now urging all the presidential candidates to step down for him. He says that Bola Tinubu should step down for him, Peter Obi should step down. And
why would there be an interim government?
That's what he's saying. It's the law. He's telling you what will happen. You know, that this is the way forward for Nigeria. That he wants to, restructure and rebuild Nigeria in a way that it will work. That the way Nigeria is structured now, it is not working. He said that it is the solution to the country's challenges, in his exact words. According to him, he says that Nigeria is blessed. Of course, we all know that. Now he's now appealing and repeating, and I want to quote him verbatim now. I want to appeal to all presidential candidates to withdraw from the race and allow me to come in as the interim president. I want to implore Asiwaju Bola Tinubu to support my government for the betterment of the country. I also want to tell Peter Obi that the system that introduced him cannot take him anywhere because he cannot operate in the system we have now. All the presidential candidates should support me to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari as the interim president. We must rise above tribe and religion because there's an imbalance in the country and we are not practicing federalism.
Excuse sir.
I'm still reading.
Excuse,
this is rude.
Excuse
I'm
me.
reading the speech of Nigeria's next president.
Excuse me, please.
Nigeria's interim president. And you are going to cut
we
me
have
short.
8 minutes, less than 8 minutes more. I'm not going to spend so much time.
We have not even mentioned his name.
On Chris Okoti. I've mentioned it.
So, the name of the person, see, in case people watch this video after, am I what on your word from beginning? I'm reading the speech because that's what they did to that one last week. I'm reading a speech from Pastor Chris Okotie.
See.
And he's telling you, he's not even asking for you people's vote. He's
comedians, they don't have nothing on Chris Okotie. Like, when you say comedy, this is premium comedy. And those are
I don't think it's serious. It's very serious.
Premium comedy. Moving on.
Okay.
Moving on.
Let's talk about something
premium
else.
comedy.
We'll come back to this.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Anyway, now last week we heard gist about Burna Boy and what happened, how 2 people got shot, how policemen in his convoy shot 2 people, 1 person on the leg, so bullet grazed somebody on the head, and at Cubana Club Cubana in Lagos, and on and on and on and on. And then he posted a story about how if they said that he killed somebody, which I think was very evasive comment that he made. Now, the person with whom that old drama started has come out to talk. She had come out to talk about what happened, how Burna Boy had sent someone to her 3 different times, how she and about 20 people came to have a party at the club and sent some people to her, and she had declined the request. And then when he got to the 3rd time, the people around were actually like, okay, her own friends were like, okay, what's the problem? What happened to no is no? And 2 different occasions, fights ensued, people got shot, and how somebody needed to actually needed immediate help and medical attention and all that. He has not said anything up until now. For 10 days, Club Cubana has not said anything. The owner of the club has also come out to make a report about what happened and how what their own side of the story is. Now, she had done that earlier, or what I say yesterday. Now, she's also come out again to talk about alleging that
if you did nothing wrong,
that Burna Boy's associates
Yeah.
are offering them hush money.
She went as far as saying that Burna Boy's parents have visited their own parents too. This is a direct quote
From
someone.
her.
We're not making it up. It's not fake news. It's not for clicks and clout. These are statements from a victim.
Yeah.
Of a shooting.
Yeah. Why did
you know?
your parents visit our parents yesterday?
Yes. So it's getting messier by the minute, and really and truly, she's saying this is not about money, because a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, blah 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 blah." Actually, it's not about money. If it's about money, we won't even be doing this. But right now, if you're not guilty, then why did this happen? I read the lady's entire statement and I felt chills. I felt chills that even after people were trying to run away from the old melee and all the madness, she claims that they were still shooting randomly at people. Then outside the club,
that someone was about to shoot her.
Someone was about to shoot at her. She claims that. Now it's up to whoever to come and debunk it and say it didn't happen, but the onus of proof is on her, so she has witnesses who also saw everything that happened. And again, there's proof that 2 people were shot.
Yeah.
So it's not looking good for Burna Boy at this moment, and I don't know. I'm not even going to try to pay out this one, because it's something that shouldn't have happened in the first place. She went on about how an associate of Burna Boy came to her, that Burna Boy wanted to talk to her, and she said she wasn't interested. The first, the second, and the third time.
Like, I'm not interested in talking to you. I don't know how I'm not interested became a fight.
I'm with someone.
Whether you are Burna Boy,
whoever you are,
or you are Wizkid, or even if you are President Obama, or whoever it is, really, everybody has. That's where choices come in. I should be able to make the choice of who I want to talk to or who I do not want to talk to.
Well, for me though, I love Burna Boy's music. I love Burna Boy as a person also, but I'm not going to let I'm speaking my mind. I'm not going to let my sentiments cloud my judgment. What is fair is fair. If it is true that you've committed this crime, then you have to pay for the crime. This has to serve as a deterrent to other people, because these are the same people who are going to come out and say, "Oh, government is bad.
Government is this." Yes, it's interesting.
SAS did this.
How
you were pushing NSAS. We have a song.
Yeah.
2010-20, which is condemning.
Here we are.
And what's the difference?
What's the difference? The point is, the reason for the whole NSAS thing is that police are oppressing people. What's the difference? Anyway, before we go, let's go. I was going to talk about this, and it is Kaduna State is in the news again with teachers this time again. Like Kaduna State and teachers. Which, shout out to them. I think that they're doing a lot for the educational system in the state. And they have results have come out today, that report have come out today, that Kaduna State has sacked 2,357 teachers. Now, there was a competency test that was conducted on primary school teachers by the state government. 27,662 primary school teachers took the test, and 165 of these people failed the test, and they were part of the number that were sacked. The remaining 2,192 primary school teachers, which is including the national president of the Nigeria Union of Teachers, NUT, also got dismissed because they refused to sit for the competency test.
All right. We did not have time to really break this one down properly, but education in Nigeria needs a lot of help. The teachers should please not see every competency test as a way of breaking them down. It's just a way of upping the ante. And the government should also know that you need the teachers to work with you.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, like, it's just a test. If you're confident in yourself, what's the problem?
It's funny how they say he that pays the piper dictates the tune. And teachers, you get paid by the government, don't you? If the owner of the manager of the businesses
this is how it wants to run its business. There's really nothing you can do.
Please, let's stop jeopardizing the future of our kids by always resorting to strikes and stuff while pushing aside the real issues.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some definitely going to be some drama that is going to come out of this. But we definitely will come out. They're already talking about how the sack is illegal and unconstitutional and all that and back and forth. But we'll get to that point. Maybe if the updates will come back to it tomorrow again. But it's a Boomba on your Boom Radio NG. We'll catch you again at 3 p.m. West African time on boomradio.com.ng. Peace.